Tribesmen can make the difference between barely getting by or pure dominance in the game of Soulmask. Understanding how different abilities work together, what stats represent, and what skills to look for can help you unlock greater potential and become more powerful. Let's start by looking at the main screen for the character if you're controlling them. This is the O key. Here you'll see by the name area there's a symbol and it will have a color. This symbol is called potential, but we'll just call it rank because that's easier and makes more sense. The rank seems to determine the quality of innate talents you can get when leveling up or being captured. This means if you see a tribesman with the rare red symbol, there's a good chance they'll have mostly tier 3 talents. If you take them over and level them up, each 5 levels they gain from 0 gives a chance to remove red talents. I think the rarity also affects the chances of removing these reds upon reaching those 5 level increments. So if you have a few reds, every 5 levels you may actually lose them, making your character overall better. The green talents are learned every 10 levels. This means once you unlock the max level, your guys will get up to the body level of 60, meaning 6 green talents are guaranteed. That rarity will really come in handy when unlocking talents along the way, so you usually want to find red rarity guys when you can. Next up are stats. Stats can be changed later on by drinking a potion called Mysterious Body Shaping Pill. This will also roll back their stat points to default, allowing you to reassign them into whatever you want. So which stats do you want to level up? Well, it depends on what type of character we're controlling. When you first start the game, your starter character is pretty weak all around, so physique might help with overall survival until you can upgrade them later on. When we're controlling a tribesman, we want to check the professions and see what their highest ones are in combat related skills. If it's a skill we like to use, then we should use the stat points to support that profession. For example, this tribesman has a high proficiency for hammers. Anything over 120 is considered tier 4 and is the best we can find for that type. Anything under 120 is a tier 3 and is not endgame suitable when we're looking for excellent tribesmen. So this guy has over 120 in hammers, which means strength would be a good stat to level up, as strength increases the damage of hammers. We also want to check to make sure that the abilities accommodate the profession. So in this case, he has hammer up tier 2, which further increases the hammer damage, making him stand out as a good tribesman. We would also most likely want to level up his hammer profession skills to also accommodate that damage. So in this case, 4 extra times we can level up for extra damage in this section here. Finding these combos is the hardest part of the game, to be honest. It's complete RNG when trying to find new tribesmen. Sometimes they have potential, but just need to be leveled up just a little bit more to see if they turn out good. Other times they can turn out absolutely terrible. It's a roll of the dice, so get ready for some very long grinding to find the best guys. Looking over these stats, you gotta know what they're used for, and you can do that by hovering over them. Of course, that doesn't tell you everything, but generally I use perception for archery, physique for tanks, strength for hammers or miners, as it also increases the carry weight. I use endurance for dodgy special characters, and agility is my main stat for anyone who just needs to slap damage and be a bulldozer with mobs. Agility increases the weapon speed, which is super important when having to strike an enemy down fast or when grinding a bunch of mobs. There's a ton of different ways you can build your character with these stat points and do some experimenting on your own once you get the respec potion, which is the mysterious pill. Something else to consider when you're scanning these tribesmen, their stat points will actually reflect what their base stats will be. So if they have crazy high strength, for example, when you respec them using the potion, their base stat for strength will most likely be the highest. Finding guys that lean towards specific high stats may help you when respecing them later on to make them even stronger. Next up are talents. And this is a massive topic, so I'll be going over it in general and giving you some pointers of what to look for. The first major talent we see on most tribesmen comes from the type of tribe they came from. This means if we capture a Claw tribe member, they will always have a specific native trait at the start. If we capture a Fang tribe, theirs will always be similar. These traits can differ slightly, but you can always bet that they'll be within the same bracket of options. So if we want, let's say, someone with high crit, we'd want to hunt for the Claw tribe, as they come with a native trait that gives them crit chance increase. We could also look for someone with natural core resistance for working or cold environments. That too would be a Claw tribe, giving us both the starting kind of perks we want. Knowing what you're looking for helps a lot when deciding where to hunt for tribesmen. This first talent also ranges from tier 1 to 3, so getting a tier 3 is always a good start. This is also total RNG, so you may have a red rarity tribesman that comes with a tier 1, or a blue rarity tribesman that comes with a tier 3. They'll also come with a bunch of other gold traits that'll help them when assisting you if they're being deployed as a guard. These traits only work if they are deployed, not controlled, so read those carefully. They can come in handy if you're building a strong guard that will be used as your main fighter, especially if paired with the tactical guidance mask, but that's another video. It gets complicated really quick. Moving forward, you'll probably also find some type of red ability or purple. Purple is a personality trait and can be good or bad. These purple traits should not be ignored. If you have a worker that doesn't like people and ends up getting mad and going rogue, this could cause a chain reaction of bad events at the camp. Make sure they work where they like, so if they like cold, have them work in cold environments. The red talents can also be a burden. Check to make sure that there's no serious issues. Having someone who doesn't like meat as a red stat is fine if you're using soups and veggies, but if you're pounding steak every day, he's going to get pretty mad and perform terribly. Finally, we're getting to the green abilities. These could be a whole range of types. Some are useless for the type of character you have, while others could be the difference between average and amazing power. There are a bunch of websites out there that list all these different abilities, so I'll just skim through a little list here that I found. When looking through a list similar to this, you can see what they all have, you can see what all the potentials are, and you can kind of get a better idea of what to look for. If you want someone who's a crafter, such as alchemy, then you want to find the ability like this one called Accelerate Alchemy, which increases the speed of production by 30%. These types of abilities can help your crafter greatly, especially when someone's crafting all the time. Some standouts for fighters would be the Speedy Bandage if you're controlling them. This helps big time when you're fighting complex fights and dungeon runs, and you really need to get those bandages down fast. Pair that with Swift Pace, and now we're moving faster through dungeons, so you can see how certain combos can work well together. If you want raw power, I would suggest finding attack speed or weapon damage increase ones like this. Paired together with a 120 profession in those weapon skills can lead to devastating damage on a battlefield. Tanky guys can always use abilities like full vitality or enhanced defense. Archers obviously work well with remote strike or pen defense, things that help accommodate their damage basically. If you want to mine for days, then you probably want to find a skill such as the backpack expansion so you have more slots, or something else that can accommodate you. Similarly, blood absorption acts like a vampire effect, causing you to heal every time you do some damage, which can come in handy, especially if you're attacking fast. Steel Body helps you ignore stun effects when over a certain percentage of resilience, that's that small yellow bar underneath your stamina, which means if someone hits you while you're trying to bandage, you actually won't get interrupted. There's a lot of options to choose from when you look at the entire list. It takes a long time to really figure out what you want to try, but even longer to actually get a person with all the right abilities and professions, to be honest. Moving on to the next section here is titles. Now these are pretty important. These allow you to spot a tribesman and instantly know if they have a special skill set. For example, anyone with Nightwalker will always come with a Nightwalker special ability, which is a golden one. All titles come with golden skills, by the way. A Weapon Master is always nice as they come with a built-in 10% damage and attack speed. Sometimes I'll specifically hunt for titles and rarity first, then hope they have good abilities or professions later. Titles can also lead to outstanding workers, such as this one here for farming. A good trick for finding crafters, workers, or farmers is to see if they have a tool in their hand when fighting them. They should also have a name like Master Craftsman or whatever they do. Just make sure there's Master in the actual name. It's usually a good tell that determines what kind of rarity they are, which would usually be red. So now you need to know where the best locations are, and I have to say, you can still find good tribesmen from literally anywhere, but usually I go to high population areas for more variety. Also, depending on your level, it may be too hard to venture into some of these areas, so just try to stay in places that work for you. My go-to location for level 50 tribesmen from Claw Tribe are up here in the Snow Mountains. It's a massive barracks with 3 entrances, 4 elite bosses, and a slayer if you go into the actual dungeon at the end underneath. This place usually fits my needs, but you can get overrun easily if you're lower level or not paying attention. Keep in mind the time of day in the upper right next to your compass. All barracks respawn at 2400 hours. So if you just killed a bunch of guys in the beginning of the barracks, know that they're going to respawn at 2400 whether you like it or not. Also, the first thing you should always do when entering any barracks is destroy the fire. They'll have a pile right here. Always make sure you destroy it even if it's not lit. If they light that fire at all the rare treasure chests will pop open and not be lootable. So make sure you hit these fires fast so you can get some loot while you're out hunting for better people. It can take a long time for these chests to respawn if they pop open, so just stay on top of that. Another good snow location if you want Fang Tribe members for level 50s and such is down here in the south. They offer a lot of the same level guys, but from Fang Tribe, which have different starting traits like poison resist. Also keep in mind, different tribes can have special tribe green abilities. These are very rare, but can be very standout special. Study that long list of abilities to find out which types of tribes give those special abilities that you're looking for. For example, some of these tribes give special abilities like this one, where they actually can poison you periodically when doing damage. Now there is some debate whether or not to look for high level or low level. I usually search for high level. There's a few reasons for this. Getting my guys near level 50 allow me to see if they're good or bad faster, as all the abilities are permanent. This means if you were to level up a guy to level 50 and get green abilities, then bring him back to level 10 and level him again, guess what? All those abilities will be exactly the same. So everything is predetermined already, no matter what. This means finding them at a high level could be a bit faster and more efficient, but sometimes you have to farm at lower levels due to other circumstances, so that's fine too. It just requires a little bit more work. Don't forget about the barbarians and cages at these camps. I've found some interesting abilities that can appear on these barbarians, both good and bad, so keep that in mind. Outcasts at other camps can offer some interesting results too. Outcasts usually have high resistance for the climate they're in. You can also find enemy tribes that will sometimes invade the barracks tribe that you're actually at, because sometimes they have wars going on. Some other good spots to look for tribesmen if you're a bit lower in level are in the jungle, in this middle area here where you can find the Flint tribe, and then up north where there's a Claw tribe. You can also hit this Fang tribe in the Green Hills, which is lower level if you need some variety. If you ever see the name Plunderer, it means you can't tame them, so don't even bother. Sometimes you can find good tribesmen in simple mines nearby. Large mines can go really deep, so get ready for long hunts on those. You can also get some XP along the way and get a bunch of resources, so maybe it works better for you. Really, you want variety, so you can get more options, and that usually comes with barracks in general. Also, farmers, crafters, and porters are usually found in barracks. I don't think I've ever found them anywhere else. Now that you have a few places to hunt at and hopefully start finding some guys that are good, there is the next part to think about, and that's to turn your main character into a much better one. This main character has the ability to copy all the stats, levels, professions, and abilities from a tribesman and make them their own. This means that if you have your main character, A, and a tribesman you like, B, you can just make A have all of B's attributes. The appearance will always remain the same for your main character, but you'll get everything else that the other tribesmen had. If you think you have a tribesman with just the right skills and hopefully no reds or bad personality traits, then just head over to the mysterious stone tablet and click on this symbol here and copy the DNA of the tribesman. Warning, doing this will also make it so that you can never save that tribesman again, leaving them to be permadeath if they die. Also, if you trade it to someone, same problem. They can never save them ever again. So usually I just kind of throw them out after that. So once we copied the DNA, all we have to do is wait a little bit, and then we paste it literally into our main character. We now have the same level, rank, stats, abilities, good or bad, along with all the professions on our main character. This can only be done once at a time, meaning you can't stack on top of each other with other stats. It just completely overrides your last saved traits. You'll have to relearn anything that you brought over too. So if your main character had a bunch of levels in some type of weapon and you brought over that other tribesman's skills, you'll have whatever they had. So if they didn't have anything in that weapon, you're going to have to re-level it. Doing this, however, will make your main character much stronger in general and also allow an extra save slot for different tribesmen. If you start to get overloaded with tribesmen and you can't store any more, don't panic. There's another option. You can try getting some hibernation pods, which you can craft pretty easily by finding them in ancient relic ruins along with some mithril, which can also be found in ancient dungeons. Once you place them in the base, you can select any tribe member and put them on ice, if you will, effectively taking them out of the game, which will open more slots for you. Any other player in your tribe can pull them out too, so just be aware of that. It's a lot to take in, but hopefully this video helps you better understand some of the many elements of Tribesmen and the mechanics within it. If it did help at all, feel free to give it a thumbs up or check out some of my other helpful videos.